drinks there. Now, the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, have just announced the launch of a $100 billion development fund that could rival Western-led financial institutions like the World Bank and the IMF. The new development bank will be based in Shanghai and its first president will be Indian. But coming to agreement has taken years, so might it bring more arguments than unity among its members? That's what I asked Akshay Mathur of the Gateway House think tank.
There's always that risk. That's why seeding the institution with rules and regulations that provides equal voting share is really important. Unfortunately, the bank has gotten more press about where it should be located. The management structure and the way they have created the organization is far more important. Whether it becomes a flashpoint will really depend if the management itself gets corrupted while it is being worked on.
One of the key objectives is funding infrastructure in the member countries. Now, do you think it can actually achieve that, or do you think the bank is mainly just to make a statement and is mostly just symbolic?
Actually, infrastructure as the mandate for the bank was pushed mostly by China, and it wasn't the other countries that were pushing for infrastructure. India itself was pushing for a more socio-economic purpose. India is one of the biggest recipients of World Bank as well as Asian Development Bank aid. So a socio-economic focus still remains the most important to us. Infrastructure is important, but we can get money for that even within India, and if we set up the right institutions.
You mentioned how India gets so much aid from the World Bank and other financial institutions around the world. Why was it then necessary to have yet another fund like this?
Well, the BRICS are trying to represent the needs and desires of an ambitious emerging nation space, and in that sense to create a financial institution was a big victory for them. It is also an institution that BRICS are considering that they can use independent of the geopolitics in the world. So if there are issues today with Ukraine or with Iran, Iraq, other places in the world, typically it has an impact on the existing institutions like the IMF and the World Bank.
All of the BRICS members have their own economic challenges, and therefore there's been a lot of skepticism about whether they can actually sustain this bank. How do you react to that?
Some of the skepticism is justified because politically the countries are different. The actions we take on global affairs are also very different. But we have a lot more in common in terms of our objectives, where we want to go. The BRICS countries are looking for stability. They're looking for freedom to grow despite all the challenges that the global economy is facing. The skeptics, at least, or the cynics, usually forget where the European community was in its first 4 or 5 years of inception, where NAFTA was, where ASEAN was. These are all multilateral forums which in the first 4 or 5 years also seemed very difficult, but they had a common purpose against which they were uniting, and they eventually got around to resolving some of the problems that they have. So I think we need to give BRICS time to evolve and to mature, and for the 5 nations to find common ground. If they can't, then the skeptics would win. But if they can find a way forward to actually create an alternative multilateral framework, I think the skeptics would be surprised.
Akshay Mathur of the Gateway House think tank speaking to me earlier. Now, the growth of the internet has changed the way many people